Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 10 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Well, today I am very excited to welcome, I think it's my first international guest onto the podcast. And so when you reached out, Caitlin, I was so excited because I think that it will be just so fun for listeners to get a glimpse into your job and what you do. But also I can't wait to talk about your topic because you're a first-year librarian and we're going to talk about creating a play-based library. So I am so excited that you reached out and that you're going to be on our podcast today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really nervous. I'm very excited. It was actually my New Year's resolution to email you and to see if I could maybe be on the podcast. And I put it off until March. Like, obviously, I was like, I'm so nervous. I'm so worried. But yeah, you wrote back right away. So thank you. I'm so
Yes,
happy.
I know. Well, I am so happy too. But let's just start by having you introduce yourself. And I think because you do teach and you're in a library internationally, that it would be really interesting for listeners to hear kind of the background of where you started and how you got to where you're at too.
Sure, sounds great. So I'm Caitlin Wingers. This is my 15th year in education. Currently, I work in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, which is on the eastern coast. Um, and I've been working here now in this district for 9 years. Um, but if we start from the beginning, maybe, I graduated university back in 2008. I'm from Washington State. And at that time, it was really the teaching job market it was hard to get jobs. And so I thought, oh, I'll just take some time off. I did some traveling and I met some people in Thailand that were international teachers. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a teacher. That's my degree. I can do that. So I connected with them, and then, like 9 months later, I moved to Thailand, Bangkok, when I was 22. It was my first teaching job. And I taught there for a year, and then I moved to Myanmar. I taught kindergarten there for 2 years. That's where I met my now husband. After Myanmar, we moved to Indonesia. We lived in Jakarta for 3 years, where I was teaching third grade. And then we moved here to Saudi Arabia, teaching third grade again. And we love it so much. I did 1 year, then I did 2 years in another country, then 3 years. Okay, we'll go to Saudi Arabia for 4 years and then we'll go. But we just love the school. We love the community so much. So it's an American international school, which means we are teaching American standards. This school in particular is affiliated with the American consulate here in Dhahran. Um, but the students we teach are a big mix, very international from all over the world. Um, and it's basically like working in a school in America, except, you know, in the classroom, there's maybe 15 different nationalities. which makes it really fun and exciting.
So
Yeah.
cool. I love that. I know I would love to come visit. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, you want a job? Just like come on over.
I know. I always think that that is just so fascinating. And I've traveled quite a bit and have done library events internationally. And right now I'm actually working with the school in Singapore. And it's just so inspiring to see and hear like your journey and just what you're doing. And just like me, I'm getting ready to go to Van Meter to go and teach my kids today in our library in our classrooms. And I think that it's just really neat what you're doing, and again just really inspiring. And so we can learn a lot from you. And I think that the neat thing too about having you reach out is that you're a first year librarian. So how did that come about? How did you end up in the library this time?
Well, as I said, I've always been an elementary teacher. I've spent the last like 13 years in third grade, and I thought I found like, this was my thing, this is my age. Um, but then it was quite random one morning at our previous school. Um, we were, my husband's the principal here. And so we were talking about, oh yeah, the librarian, she's leaving and there will need to be a replacement. And I was like, wait a minute, I could be a librarian. Like I've always, reading's always been my passion, right? So I've always been on the literacy teams, and my master's is in um, a reading specialist certification. And so I was like, wait, books? That's like, I'm really into that. And maybe I should be the librarian. He was like, no, uh,
Awesome.
not this year. But then it like planted a seed. And then the stars just aligned. Where we were changing to this new school. Um, it's still in the same district, but the librarian position was open, and I kind of mentioned it again. Like, I don't, I don't have my um, degree in the media librarian specialist, although I want to go back get it now. But it just sort of worked out because I had the reputation of being um, a passionate book nerd in the district. So they know me well. And yeah, it just feels like I'm the most luckiest person in the world. And I can't believe that this is a real job and it gets to be my real job. Like every day I come to school, it's like everything I love about teaching, but not the things I don't love, which
Yeah.
as a homeroom teacher, that is the hardest job in the world. And this being in the library is also hard in different ways, but it is so joyful. It's
Oh, I love that. I know it is, isn't it? And we get to see all the kids, and I think bringing like that book joy and just love of like reading and learning and curiosity and all those things together are like the best part of being a librarian and working with kids. And when you reached out and then I asked you like what you wanted to talk about, one thing that I'm really excited to hear is just transforming like your library space into being a play-based learning environment. And I think that is just so amazing. And the kids, they have to like love walking into your library and what you're doing. And so I want to hear about that. Like just, telling us about what your library looks like how that also came about, that thinking. And also, I think the big question is like, and I love this, why play belongs in the library too.
Yes. Well, my previous experience as a third grade teacher, um, I tried to incorporate play a lot into that age level, which is unique, I guess, because we usually think play-based learning is like kindergarten, maybe grade one, but early years sort of stuff. Um, and it's really challenging when you are bogged down with all of the standards, all of the different subjects you have to teach. Um, but I was very inspired by two of my best friends, which Graham and Jenny Lang, shout out. They're incredible educators and um, really just models of bringing play into the classroom. So they taught me a lot, and I was trying to do it in my classroom, and it was just, I don't know, it was hard. But when I started this library role, it was like, this is the time. This is exactly the right time to do all these things I've been learning about that I couldn't find the time to do before. Um, so that was kind of the spark in the beginning. Um, and also, you know, play, it's not play, it's learning, it's agency, it's empowerment, it's allowing kids to have voice over what they're doing. And um, I think I had learned so much about it leading up to this, where I know that I can point out anything a child is doing and say, here's the learning that's happening right there. You know, they're fighting over a Lego, but they're communicating, they are advocating for themselves, they're negotiating. Um, so that is, I think, why the role of librarian allows for a lot of play to be put in. Also, I'm only like I teach um, 3 year olds to fifth grade, and the library space is purpose built, designed in a way for younger learners. So that's, I'm really, really lucky to have that. Um, yeah, it makes kids love the library also.
I
Like
know
it's,
to
yeah.
come. Yes. Do your kids come then for like a fixed library time every week that you see them? Yeah.
Yes. I teach each class one period per week. And then I have the library open before school. And then at recess time, they can come in. And then we have like after school activities too. That, uh, yeah, I started with one in our first trimester. I had one ASA, after school activity. And then a bunch of kids were like, no, we need this other one because we need to do this. And I'm busy on Wednesdays. And my mom says I can't. So can you do it on Mondays? Okay, yeah. And then this time I had a bunch of kids come and they're like, we don't want to like play in the library. We just want to stay here and read because we get home, we get so distracted. So I was like, all right, people. Like, we can do 5 days of ASAs.
Oh, I
And
love it. They need that
yeah,
though. Yeah.
uh,
Well, and they need, I think that just shows kid like how much kids need the library and need you too. And one thing that also, I'm thinking, just listening to you and you said something about like giving kids a voice. I think that when kids come to a space, if it's a library or a classroom or a specific teacher, and they know that they're heard in what they want, that's saying so much about the space that you're creating too, because you've given them, that choice and voice that they want to have, even if it's just reading when they come as well. I think that's
yeah, something I've always thought or lived by, I don't know, that the more you tell kids yes, the more they'll ask for things. So just like, can I make a poster and put it up here? It's like, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then their ideas start to grow and grow. And now, like, I'm just another reason my heart fills with joy in this place is looking around and seeing how much has been contributed by the students. Like they started this little drawing area in the corner, and the older students were like, we want coloring pages. And I'm like, let's not do coloring pages. Like, let's keep blank paper. I said, we'll make the coloring pages and we'll give them to the first graders. And so now and the first graders now make coloring pages too. So they do like the black outline drawings and then leave them for other students to color. These kids are so amazing. They have so many good ideas. And the more you show that, yeah, you're willing to listen and take on their ideas, the better the ideas get.
I think I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's one thing about what I've always loved about being a librarian is really listening to your kids and embracing like those ideas that they have and that creativity. And I grew up on a farm, and I grew up in a home where my mom like always let my sister and I be so creative, and she's also a librarian. And so that sticks within my head a lot of times, when I'm working with kids is to, like you said, say yes and to make things happen for them. And the library is definitely the perfect place to do that. So I bet that you also you talked a little bit about reading and about their joy of reading. So I want to hear also, I know that you love using read alouds to spark that joy. And I always love to hear about how people use read alouds and the ideas that they have. But I think that's so great.
Yes, we play a lot, but we also do some reading. So I had one of my first big lessons back in August. I'm planning for my first week ever as a librarian. I'm also at a new school, so I didn't know any students. I really wanted to make the perfect impression. Um, and I saw on Instagram, I think it's librarian Chrissy or like Chrissy in the library. She's from Seattle. Um, and she said something like, "Oh, controversial opinion. You don't have to read a book about back to school or about libraries in the first week of school." And I was like, "Whoa, no, like you have to. I have to read, the Library Lion in the first week of school." That really changed my perspective because I was like, oh yeah, I should read something I love. I should read something that makes us laugh and, that I can get to use funny voices and be silly. Um, so from that point forward, uh, making sure that I read a story in every lesson is like, that's a hill I will die on. Like I will always read a story. Um, But I thought before that they had to be, serious and really teach something. But I think that using stories that are funny, that have beautiful illustrations, like I think that is really, it sparks that inner joy, which creates readers,
Yeah.
like kids who love books. And I think inside every book there's magic, right? Like that's why books get published. There's something in them. So being able to model that, like, oh wow, look what the author did here, look at the way that this is rhyming, but they put this word on the next page, are you kidding me? Just like having that sense of wonder and awe as you're reading books, it's just so joyful, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love finding those read alouds that kids, even go back to and ask to read again. And it's something that again, like we are so lucky being librarians to be around all of these amazing books and authors and illustrators and what they do. And you definitely are sparking a lot of joy by doing what you're doing in your library because that gets our kids passionate in that lifelong love of reading that we want them to have too. I love that. I'm addicted to picture books. And so it's like, yeah, it's a real thing. Over spring break, I was going to weed my own library and I never got to the project. And I wrote my assistant. I was like, I need you to come and help and not weed them to get rid of them, but weed them to take more to school. And so I just love it. So another thing that I am thinking of too is you haven't talked at all about the technology. And are you guys a one-to-one school? Like a,
Um, no, we have in the younger years, up until first grade, they have shared no, shared iPad
yeah,
carts. So like a grade level will share them. And there's in those ages two classes for grade level. And then in the grade two and three have shared Chromebook carts. And then grades 4 and 5, it's for your own device. So they have their own.
that's cool. So what about the library?
Well, if you would have asked me 5 to 7 years ago, um, I would have been the person that's like, we need one to one. I need a set of iPads back here. I need, Chromebooks all over the place. Um, but coming into this role and knowing that there wasn't any tech, we have two desktop computers for checkout, and then like a screen for the lesson time. But that's it in terms of technology, unless you count the hot glue gun. But that's that's really it. And I feel really like that was a gift because I am not a I'm pro tech in every aspect of my life. Like ever since I got my first computer, I love computers. I love Excel, Google Sheets and everything. Everything I do is on Canva. But for kids, I think getting books in hand, first of all, um, real books, the tangible, the books you can hold and smell and touch and hug. I think that is really important. Plus, we have this whole makerspace area, and I see a lot of incredible tech-based makerspace stuff. Um, but that just wasn't an option for me at the beginning of the year. And I started collecting recyclables, and, we have a little innovation station now. And I don't think I will go back. I don't think I would like go and try to get the tech now because children learn so much through their hands. And I think the world we're in right now, they go home and there's a lot of device time. And even in their homerooms, we have a lot access to a lot of learning platforms. And so I feel like I'm sort of um, kind of putting my foot down and saying like, no, this will be a space where we're not going to use those things. And it's fine that other classes, other places you do, but this place here, this is for books. This is for creating. This is for crafting. We're going to get our hands on stuff. We're going to get a little messy, and we're going to learn a ton.
I think that's great. I think that's amazing. And you're building a place, I think that kids intentionally know that too, and that has to feel good for them to go into a space where they can just use their own minds and creativity and that love that they have for reading. And so I think that is just so amazing. I'm excited to go to school today and just think about a lot of the things that you said because when our kids come to check out books and they come to the library, they are not bringing their devices and they're using like their eyes and their hands to explore the shelves and find what they love. And sometimes we need that little break because we are using so much technology in our world. And I love technology like you do, but it's also nice like to be able to just kind of take that break and step back. And so you that's inspiring. And I think that our listeners will be inspired to really think about that too and what we can bring with our library to our kids.
I will mention also that the students in elementary do have a standalone tech class.
Yeah.
So a lot of those standards that I know so many librarians are responsible for teaching digital citizenship and like the ISTE, AASL
Yep.
crosswalk type thing. Um, that it's I that's not on my plate. So that's something that's really lucky for me. And additionally, we're a K-12 school, and middle school and high school have their own library. So anything like tech checkout, if a teacher needs something, if students need something, that goes through the other librarian. So I'm just very lucky that that's not something I have to manage or handle. It's a privilege. It's not a choice. It's just a privilege to be able to be like, that's not my thing. Like, we're not going
That's
to do that here.
I
Yeah.
know. It sounds wonderful. Sounds like you are creating the perfect place for your kids and you're going to be, we already are an amazing librarian. So you've definitely found your niche. So that is such a neat thing. Like I always think about I've been a librarian now for almost 20 years and I have never been in the classroom because I stayed at home with my kids after I graduated until my oldest one was 14 and my youngest one was like just a baby. And so I've always been a librarian. And sometimes people will say like, oh, well, do you think you'll ever like go in a classroom? I'm like, no, I have a perfect job. Like I get to be a teacher and a librarian and all the things. And I'm glad that you have found that too.
Yeah. In preparation for my role, I was doing so many, online webinars and PDs and listening to hundreds of hours of podcasts. And the guests would always say, this is the best job. I can't believe, this is it's just amazing. That yeah, you can hear it and like listen to other people say it, but until you're in the role, like I feel guilty talking about it because
Love
it
it.
is so incredible that
Yes.
I get to do this and this is my life now. It's my favorite thing to do is talk to kids about books or talk to anyone about books, honestly. And yeah, you get to do it every day and just, all those extra little things like a battle of the books or book talks or the read alouds, everything. It's incredible. I'm never leaving.
Oh, I love it. And I am so happy that you reached out because I think that it's just so inspiring to hear your story. And I love hearing from people who are first year librarians who, have feel that like what I have felt in my heart for quite a while. So I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait to check in with you too, as you're in this role, like what it looks like for you in a year or in 5 years. And I can't wait to hear and continue your story and our friendship. So it's so great to have you on the podcast. And, I think our listeners will also love to be able to know if they can follow you too. So tell them where they can find you on Instagram. And I think you're on Bluesky too.
I am. So Instagram, it's at Caitlin.wingers_wonders. So Caitlin Wingers Wonders. That's been my handle for a while, just as like inquiry, right? I'm wondering all the
Thanks.
time. I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn. And then I've just started being active on Blue Sky, which is C Wingers Wonders. And
And
then the
I'll put that
dot.
in the
Blue
make
Sky.
sure it's in the notes too for you. So,
Yeah. And
oh,
I would be so excited to talk to people about librarianship or just connect, but also international teaching. I know it's one of those things that, like, I don't know, growing up, I never heard about it. And then when you meet someone who does it, it's like, oh, people can do that. So I have a lot of resources for that too.
Yes, that'd be great. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your story and your journey. And just keep being amazing, Caitlin. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Shannon McClintock Miller. Oh my goodness. It's like a celebrity's telling me.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait to have you on again. As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives, and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future-ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help and support each and every one of you. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.